Hey guys, Basil here with BTech and Wearable, and this is the Huawei watch. The Huawei watch was announced way earlier in the year, around March at MWC. We've only just got it in, but how has it fared the test of time? Design-wise, fully round screen, stunning screen at that. 400 by 400 pixels. It's the sharpest display on an Android Wear device around, only really beaten by the Apple Watch in the smartwatch camp. In addition to that, it's a great build quality, IP67 certified. You can see we've got the leather strap with a flat end. This is the active model that costs around £329. Prices start from £200, 42mm standard strap fitting. The strap itself I'm not all too happy with. You can see it's weathered quite badly, and this would have only gone on review circulation about 3-4 weeks ago. So for a watch that you're expecting to last a fair while, a timeless design icon as Huawei is terming this thing, the strap is probably not quite so timeless. Having said that, 42mm strap fitting, you will be able to swap it for your own, no problem. Design highlights, aside from that stunning screen with a great contrast ratio and beautiful amount of sharpness, right hand side you've got a physical button. This is just a button. You can press it to dull down your screen, press it again to light up your screen once more. Around the back, that heart rate monitor and pin connectors. That pin connector connects it to a charging dock. The charging dock isn't wireless charging, it is magnetic though, and it can be a bit fiddly to align the pins. Once you do, having said that, it is quicker than any wireless charging watch that we've used. So there is kind of method to Huawei's madness, not including wireless charging on this thing and instead having a physical dock. I will say the design of the Huawei watch is special. £329 special? I'm not entirely sure, but when you compare it with the Apple Watch, for example, well, you don't need to be a scientist to see which one looks more like a watch. Huawei's also loaded up the watch with a whole ton of watch faces, not many of which I like, surprisingly. I thought it was going to be full of watch faces that were really stunning. Actually, they're a little bit plain. Luckily, you can download more through the Google Play Store. There are some nice ones. You can also get the whole watch in a different color, and perhaps they might go better than with the black one. The black one, which looks a little bit more toned down, paired with most of the watch faces, just looks a little bit disjointed in places. Still, I do like the watch faces that you do have on here for the most part in isolation. They provide a good amount of information, and of course, being Android Wear, you can customize your experience pretty extensively. I'm going to come on to Android Wear and the Huawei watch now. So Android Wear works across iOS and Android. Now, I have been using it with Android with my Huawei P6 or Nexus P6 for a while, but Gina was using it with her iPhone, and she's going to steal the show for a second to tell you exactly what she thought about Google's operating system and its somewhat curtailed experience on Apple devices.
So officially an Android watch can now be paired with an iPhone, but when I paired the Huawei watch with my iPhone 6s, I was left wondering just why I'd bothered. Sure, the pairing of an Android Wear watch with an iPhone means you get alerted on your wrist every time your iPhone receives a notification, which I found helpful, but that's basically all the watch does. Okay, so most times you can press into the notification for a little more information, but from there you have no options apart from dismissing the notification or blocking the application from the watch. That's because none of the iOS applications you've loaded onto your iPhone will transfer over to the watch because, well, their application's designed to run on iOS and your watch is running on Android. The only application which you are able to do anything with is Gmail. You'll get to reply, archive, or delete your Gmail emails all from your watch. You do still get all the Google applications which are preloaded into all Android Wear, plus the applications the manufacturer may have installed themselves, for example, Huawei's daily tracking app. Applications preloaded include alarms and reminders. The alarm function will set an alarm on your watch though, not on your iPhone, and it's also questionable how integrated the reminders are with iOS because all the reminders I attempted to set failed. So Android Wear with an iPhone, I can't pretend it's life-changing stuff. There's no hiding the fact that when paired with an iPhone, your beautiful Android Wear watch is little more than a glorified, expensive notification center.
I have to say, I completely agree with everything Gina just said, but it isn't quite as bad on Android. In fact, it's quite good in some places. not so great in others. Okay, you can see the Android Wear application allows you to do stuff like customize your watch face very extensively. You can get more watch faces, you can download apps that let you completely rejig your watch face, so that's cool. You can also see you've got some watch applications, and they're way more extensive than on iOS. In fact, so much more extensive to the point that you can actually use them. iOS, it's just a ridiculously curtailed experience. Jumping out of that, you can also expect us to tie in really tightly with Google Fit, for example. So you've got a heart rate monitor on here around the back, like I mentioned. It's going to act as a pedometer tracking your steps, but there is no GPS on this thing. Speaking of heart rate, I'm going to actually slip this on and let you see exactly how good or not so good a heart rate monitor it is. We're going to do this all live, no kind of editing together, just so that you can see. We've got the MyZone actually, and heart rate monitor strap around my chest, and my heart rate's being measured here. It's at 96 beats per minute. You guys are raising my blood pressure, but if I was to strap the Huawei watch tightly, that 96 beats per minute, my guess, is not going to be emulated by the reading that I get from the Huawei watch. There you go, 84 beats per minute. To be honest, even though it wasn't exactly on point, it wasn't too bad at all. I've been getting wildly different readings across this and indeed the Apple Watch. The moral of the story really is that wrist-based heart rate measures just aren't a patch on chest-based measures. And this is standing still. Standing completely still is when these devices are working at their very best. 88 beats per minute. So the Apple Watch seems to be a little bit more accurate there. But in the same breath, it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not some point the wrist-based heart rate monitors that shine a light on your wrist will be able to get better, because thus far they've all been pretty useless. As a result of more the technology than Huawei's shortcoming, the heart rate monitor isn't really something that can act as a real selling point if you are into sports. If you are, I definitely would recommend checking out the MyZone. I've been using this for a few days now, and it's, well, just a really great option that gives accurate results for accurate calorie counting. Back to the Huawei watch, another thing that steps against this as far as exercise goes is the fact that it doesn't have a GPS on it, so you won't be able to track your runs. It does have 4 gig of memory on board, so you can get music on here for your runs, and if you're happy with inaccurate tracking, or you're running a distance you know very well, or a track route you know very well, then you may well be happy with just 4 gig of memory on here for your music. Pair it with some Bluetooth headphones, leave your phone at home, and away you go with some pedometer tracking for, well, not that accurate specificity. Having said that, for me personally, I probably wouldn't be using the Huawei watch to run. I'd take my phone with me, or a watch with a GPS like the Sony Smartwatch 3. Even if it does, they'll kill the battery in no time flat. In addition, this does have a 300 milliamp battery, and I did find that the battery actually lasted exactly as long as Huawei said it did, around 1.5 days. With light use, very little screen on time, you can even eke 2 days out of it. That's pretty much identical to the 42mm Apple Watch, and a lot more than the 38mm Apple Watch, and a lot of other Android Wear devices like the Moto 360 first generation. Wrapping up, the Huawei watch is definitely one of, if not my favorite Android Wear watches out now. It's the most expensive, so that is little surprise. Still, Android Wear just isn't there, not in the UK. In the UK, it doesn't support Android Pay. The application functionality is too curtailed to be practically useful. It doesn't support the customizations in terms of watch faces out of the box with ease of implementation as the Apple Watch does, for example. In addition to that, £329 for a watch that's going to die after 2 days. I know it's competitive for smartwatches, but I'm just not sold on the operating system, and until I am, I can't wholeheartedly recommend the Huawei watch. Still, if you are on the market for an Android Wear watch, the Huawei one is the one to go for if you can stump up the cash. Hopefully you've enjoyed mine and Gina's review of the Huawei watch across operating systems. If you have, click that thumbs up button, and if you've got any comments about it, fire it in the comments section below. Then we'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.